Yeah, yeah. Cyber on the mic, moderating like a boss. Keeping it steady, ain't never getting lost. Bleeding edge where the rawness meets the show. Drinks up, get ready, let the chaos flow. Aim trains, time traveling, hit the...
Fuck yeah. Now I'm fucking ready to rock and roll. That shit has me fucking pumped. All right, folks. What's up? The MCU'S Bleeding Edge in the house. Jeff S., a.k.a. TrueKnowledge, honored to be moderating the finale of House of the Dragon Season 2 with a bunch of really great people on the panel to wrap up the rest of our coverage for the series with Fantasy's Reality, Jermaine's YouTube channel over there in the corner. What's up, Jermaine? We got Jermaine on the panel. We got Chad from Fantasy's Reality. What's up, Chad? We got Andres, the pop culture guy, decided to show up. What's up, Andres? We got Dom from Talking TV Podcast. What's up, Dom? Up? And we got Drew from doing his first episode with us. What's up, Drew?
Hello.
So show two, number 2 for Drew with the Bleeding Edge. Thank you, Drew. So great episode. I'm sure you all have a lot to say. I'll start off with an opening question. Is there any particular episode in the first 1 through 7 that speaks to you or pokes out to you that really stood out to you as like a particular episode? I know there were maybe 2 or 3 that I dropped 10s on throughout the series, but I'll start with you, Dom. Pick an episode on what not involving the finale. What would be one that you would put voice to?
That's a tough one, honestly, because I got 3 in mind. But just to get it out of the way, I'm gonna go with episode 7, Sowing of the Seeds, that one, or Red Sowing, whatever it was called.
All right, well, you can expound on that if you'd like to.
Well, just because I've been waiting all season for the Sowing of the Seeds. I knew we were gonna get Rook's Rest at the halfway point. That was a battle. We'd seen that before in Game of Thrones. We'd never really seen anything quite like what we saw with Sowing of the Seeds. And so it was not only unique in the sense of House of the Dragon, it was unique in the sense of Game of Thrones as well. So that was really something that was really cool to witness as a television episode.
Okay, Drew.
Immediately, the first thing that comes to mind, it might be in the top running for my favorite moments in all of the show entirely, but Otto Hightower's rage at Aegon in the 2nd episode is such a fantastic scene. That actor he's like smearing the screen with his acting chops during that rage moment where he's just like yelling at Aegon over like how he screwed everything up for hanging the rat catchers and how much sacrifice like everyone put in for him. And like losing Viserys was such a blow to the kingdom. It's almost like Otto's like his eyes are now open to like, oh my god, I'm the one who basically caused like all this craziness, and it's just like such great acting from that guy. I forget the actor's name.
Rhys Ifans is his name.
Ifans, okay, he was
Rhys Ifans is his name. Yes, he's a lizard.
Lizard. Man, he's great. I mean, it's such a shame that we didn't get more of him this season, but that's one of my favorite moments. Obviously, Rook's Rest. That just the action involved in the battle. Kristen Cole, he's the guy you love to hate too. Like, I think that's also the 2nd episode too, when he's just projecting all of his woes onto the twin, the Sir Eric. That's another amazing acting. Because as an audience, we already know like what he's dealing with and just all the shit that's on his shoulders, and him yelling at Eric because his cloak is dirty is just so perfect from a character like standpoint. So yeah, episode 2, I think, would be my top dog.
Thanks, Mastermind X Studios. Appreciate you. Jermaine.
Actually, I think I would say Rook's Rest is my favorite episode of the season. Not only did it have a battle sequence, but I truly enjoyed seeing Rhaenys's death. To me, she was such a powerful character and a wonderfully gifted actress. But the moment when she died, it was like, take me. Just take me. I'm ready. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I like it when ladies say that to me. In my private life, it's always good, it's always positive. Andre's a pop culture guy.
Yeah. Oh man, Jermaine took my favorite moment was that. But I gotta say, my favorite moment of the show was the twins. Like, let's not forget about our favorite twins in this show. I thought their fight was so spectacular and so tragic. Like when the one that was actually in Team Black, and his last words, "Forgive me, my queen," or something like that. And like he did like the Shogun death, and I was like, oh my
Seppuku.
god, yeah, yeah, and I was like, no. That was like a shocking moment for episode 2. Remember, episode 1 we had like a baby child killed, and then episode 2 we got the twins killed. I was like, what the hell? So I thought that was a really great moment, and it just showed this show has become more confident in itself as a House of the Dragon. So yeah, I think the twins were my favorite moment.
Chad.
So I think my favorite moment is it's in the burning mill. It's the conversation between Rhaenyra and Allison, mostly because it's where we get the realization. Where Allison gets the realization that, oh, I messed all this up because I thought he was saying one thing and he was clearly not talking about any of my fucked up children, and everything is to be damned because of that. So as someone that doesn't like Allison because she took this course of action that led us where we're at, that having that moment where she realized, oh, I'm the problem, and then was like, well, I can't do nothing about it now. We just gonna roll with it. That's the part that really stuck out to me.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just read a brief episode synopsis really quick, and then I've got another question, and then I'm going to do an episode breakdown. But let me start right off here with so the episode opens up with Tyland Lannister allies with the Triarchy, but must first defeat Admiral Shirako Lohar in a mud wrestling competition. He wins, impressing her. Larys convinces Aegon that they exile themselves in Bravos, where Harrenhal's gold is stashed, then reclaim the throne following the war. After days of searching, Rhaena finds the wild dragon. Gwaine challenges Kristen, who regrets the war. Out of anger, Aemon lays waste to Sharp Point with Vhagar. Rhaenyra, who hoped having more dragon riders would deter the conflict, declares war. Ulf's boorish behavior enrages Jace. Alan rebuffs Corlys' attempts at reconciliation. Rhaenyra and Adam fly to Harrenhal after Simon Strong sends warning that Damon may be traitorous. Alice leads Damon to a weirwood tree where he foresees a future including a White Walker and Daenerys Targaryen. Seeing himself as a part of a larger story, he swears fealty to Rhaenyra. My mouse is stuck. Oh, there we go. To the newly arrived Rhaenyra, I apologize. Aemon demands that Helena fly Dreamfire to battle. She refuses and predicts Aemon will die in the war, saying that killing her will not alter his fate. She also predicts that her husband will return, to ruling as king again. Aided by Orwyle, Allison sneaks onto Dragonstone, offering to surrender King's Landing to Rhaenyra's forces. Rhaenyra insists that Aegon must die to ensure the transition. Otto is briefly seen in a cage. Soldiers from across Westeros prepare for war. And that's we get that awesome, ending. It's like team up, get ready for war scene at the end. That's really, really awesome. But so that's the basic Wikipedia synopsis for the episode. And it's actually not that bad. It does outline pretty much everything that does go on. But starting off with the Triarchy and Tyland right off the bat, and the opening scene and the mud fight and everything at Tyrosh, Drew. What were your thoughts on the opening?
So it's pretty good. I think that the stuff with Lannister and just the Triarchy and stuff, I think it overstays its welcome a little bit. It is nice to have a little bit of levity sort of peppered in there at the beginning, because we're gonna get some pretty dramatic, deep stuff later on into the episode. But I don't know I guess I don't know what I was expecting when all of a sudden we just cut to like mud wrestling. I was just sort of like, oh, okay, we're just doing this, all right. And then of course we got some more fun dialogue with you're gonna. I want some children. How many wives do you got? You know, like. It almost felt like the Futurama, like death by snoo moment. But no, it's sort of good, and it's it's one piece of the larger puzzle here at the end when we see like all the different armies marching in different directions coming together. So it's sort of setting up that stuff from Essos. All in all, it's fine. I think it's one of the weaker parts of the episode overall, though. Some funny bits, but I kind of wanted to get more into what was happening with Damon and Rhaenyra and all that stuff in the main scope of things.
Drew, is that you in the comment section? Is that you in the comment section?
It is not.
Oh, okay. What's going on, Andrew?
Oh, Andrew.
He's one of my friends. Oh, okay. Has to be nostalgic for Game of Thrones season 3. Okay.
Mark out.
That's awesome. All right. Anyways. All right. So same question, Chad.
It was, it was fine. It was, I guess, the levity that we needed throughout this particular episode, since everything else is kind of heavy. So you have your moments of the mud wrestling, you get some laughs in there. The little part with the how many wives do you have to get some laughs in. But I mean, if I had my choice, I would have just had them do the opening, like little negotiation, and then we get out of there and we'd be done with it, because we had a lot of things to do in this episode that I think everybody would have found more important. But again, if the way they broke it up into the episode and kind of cut it in, it was like, okay, we're giving you a break from some heavy stuff. Have a laugh. Let's get back to some heavy stuff. So I get it, but it wasn't my favorite part of the episode. But I understand from like a flow, from a flow standpoint, why they did what they did.
Did you think that chick was a dude at first?
At first I thought it would have been, and then they said she and then she shows up, and like I was like, okay, I get what you're going for. It is clearly a woman, but I see what you're trying to do, like visually. But so I guess if you like that kind of thing, you get a chuckle out of it. I was like, okay, she'll beat his ass for a little while, and then he has to win because they kind of need him. So you'll get your little laugh out of that, I guess.
There you go. All right. So Jermaine, Amon took Vanguard to go burn the shit out of a whole city with Sharp Point. What do you think about that? If you want to opine on the man chick and the triarchy and all that, feel free.
Well, first, no. When she walked up, I immediately knew it was a woman, and I was like, "What the fuck is this? Like, what's happening?" And then later, when she said that she had wives, more than one, I was like, damn.
You were like, hell yeah!
I'm jealous.
Okay, but in terms of what's his name? Not Damon. Eamon.
Yeah.
When he when he goes and he destroys this particular town, it was on brand for him. It was on brand for his character. They say it at the very end, but it was exactly what I was thinking. When he doesn't get his way, he has a temper tantrum, and he does the most reckless of things. I do understand that it had a strategic significance, but I don't know, like a big part of the book had a whole lot to do with how
like it was just him, but like burning off like his anger almost.
Yeah, but okay. So a big part of the book had a whole lot to do with how the small folk felt about everything that was happening, and by doing what he did, he actually hurt his cause, if you will. And so it's kind of bad for me to talk about it right now, because I do remember that part of the book. But yeah, those were my thoughts. It was just reckless. It was reckless of him.
Andre's a pop culture guy. Same question.
Yeah. I thought the beginning was getting very slow, to get into, the stuff we saw. I thought the Lannister section was okay. I agree with the majority of the panel here that it was definitely the weakest part. But as Chad said before, like it wasn't like thankfully they paced it very well and cut it into pieces, so we didn't have like the full section. So that was fine, and that's good. I think this show did a really good job of just giving us a good comedy and good enough dramatic moments that we need, and they know that. So it's fine, but it's definitely the weakest. But I like the Amen thing because you really see, like, because we get this throughout the episode, how desperate he now is. Like, you know, Amen is showing his very vulnerable side. Like, we never saw that. Like, before, you see his, like, he was so cocky, very confident. He was, like, he was, like, you know, he's Team Green Damien, if I had to say it. Like, he was the Damien for Team Green, and Damien's over Team Black, what he's doing. But here, he's just, like, now that, you know, Renea has now other Dragon Riders, it's like, oh, shit. Now it's serious. So it was really cool to see his guard like going down and like doing the same mistake that his brother was doing, or what really Team Green has been doing throughout the second season. So yeah, I think the first section was okay, very slow, but you know, we got at least moving very quickly into some of the other important parts.
Okay, Dom. So, Aegon and Clubfoot, right? That the scene with them where Lara Strong wants Aegon to go to Essos, right? It says that he has all the coin from Harrenhal, lumped up over there. And Aegon talks about losing his penis, like a sausage or some shit like that, or some shit. He pisses on his leg every time he pisses or something. He says, Dom, what do you think about that? Any part of the intro that you want to discuss as well?
Well, first things first, RIP to Aegon's exploded dick. I don't remember if he said that it exploded or if it just got singed because of the fire,
like
or some combination of the two.
Exploded like a sausage.
Yeah. So as if he hasn't already suffered enough humiliations this season. You've already got that to stack on top of it. Look, I mean, once again, Lyra Strong is proving to read the room and kind of low-key be the smartest character on the green side, where he sees exactly what's happening. He sees that Aemon is losing his shit and eventually is going to completely, turn and just kill anyone that opposes him. He sees that Allison has kind of lost her favor at core, and they really don't have any allies left. So he's kind of reading the room and, once again, doing what Varys did best on Game of Thrones, which was moving the chess pieces across from each other, where he's like, look, we need to remove ourselves from this fray because right now you're in danger from Aemon. But if we remove ourselves from the fray, we let Aemon and Rhaenyra fight it out, and then we emerge as victorious. Sound advice, honestly, and it does a good job with making Aegon listen to him, honestly, especially given that Aegon realizes that he really doesn't have anything else left. So I thought that was great. As far as everything else in the intro, the triarchy stuff, okay, it didn't need to be as long as it did. I'm like, I am only interested in the triarchy as far as setting up for the Battle of the Gullet. I don't need to spend any extra time with them. They're not important characters, ultimately, as far as the trajectory of this kind of whole story goes. So I just thought those sequences were kind of long and drawn out, took away from what could have been some other really interesting stuff. But as far as Aemon burning Sharp Point, I mean, it's like you were saying, Andres, this is the first time that he's been scared and vulnerable in a long, long time. And if there's one thing you do not want the rider of the largest dragon in Westeros to be, it's unstable. And that's exactly what Aemon is showing himself to be.
Okay. Was there anything else you wanted to mention about the intro before I move on?
Not really.
Okay. So, moving forward, we have Ulf at Dragonstone with his feet all propped up in Rhaenyra's chair and all that shit. And Prince Jaehaerys comes out and calls Ulf out, right? And there's like a major disagreement, there or whatever. And Ulf's kind of, you can see signs right off the bat that Ulf might be kind of a fucking problem. Hey, what's up, Fletcher? How you doing? So I'll go to you, Andre's pop culture guy. What do you think about fucking Alf, bro? Is Alf going to be okay?
No, he's going to be a major problem, I think, for Team Black. I mean, thankfully, they have two other writers that they can rely on. So, yeah, I'm just curious. I have nothing to say, like, for that scene. I mean, it just shows that how cocky he is, Like, before, like, I thought initially he was, he knew his bloodline, but, like, he was just, like, being very like a sales. Like, he was like a used salesperson that was telling these like ridiculous stories. Now that he like actually has a dragon and he's like a rider, his ego is like getting to him, and and that's not good. And he's already getting in trouble with the son, and that's something I'm curious to see in next season, their relationship, because that's going to be just like I don't know, like just crazy. But yeah, he's going to be a problem for Team Black.
Fletcher, that was a Wendigo, and Valar Doharis. In response, I apologize. Same question to you, Chad.
Yeah, Office is gonna be a big ass problem. Like, I'm watching it, I'm kind of torn because this show, more than previous Game of Thrones, has shown like how the small folk react to things, and we met Alf as the small folk, and he's just in a bar, being loud and obnoxious and saying that he might be a Targaryen, knowing full well there's no way that is ever going to be able to be proven. And then lo and behold, he gets this chance and he just starts showing his ass. Like you would think, like, who's the other guy with him? I forget his name. Is it
Hugh?
Hugh. Like, Hugh gets this power and he's like, I understand what this is. I understand where I came from. I understand what this is. I'm going to do what I need to do by it. And you would like to believe that if more small folk got the power, they would be like that. Whereas Off is just showing you give anybody power, I'm gonna be a problem. And he's there 2 seconds, don't know nothing about how they do anything around here. He's putting his feet on the table. I mean, he's kind of popping off at the queen. Like, are you like, do you need to read a book or something, dude? Like, just sit there, eat your fancy food, fly the dragon. Your life is better than it was before. I don't want to say show some appreciation, but I mean, like, have some decorum, man. Something. Just sit down. He was annoying me because I would like to see the small folk kind of get some comeuppance every now and then, but he's just like, nah, not this dude. You can't do it with him.
He's disrespectful.
So disrespectful.
Yeah, no, he's definitely an asshole. I don't like Ulf very much. Moving forward, although we can stay with Alf as much as anybody wants to, Corliss and Rhaenyra come together, and while Corliss's ship is being sort of recommissioned, and Corliss renames his ship after Ratings, I'm sorry, and reminds Rhaenyra of Dreamfire with Helena and everything, right? Go to you, Drew. What are your thoughts on that scene? And then, of course, if you want to, say anything about on Ulf, feel free.
Ulf is a goober, and I'm sure he's gonna have some terrific payoff with him, with his mannerisms and rudeness and just wild card-y behavior. Well, I'm sure not for the profit of Team Black, but no, I really like the scene where Corliss renames his ship after his late wife. It's just a nice little tender moment. I almost totally forgot that Helena had a dragon up until this point, where I was like, oh, that's right. She's like she was Aegon's wife or whatever, but she's sort of like a shut-in almost. Like, she sort of wants to be by herself. She wants to just, hang out in the castle, not really be a problem for anybody. And yeah, so the fact that they brought her up, and then later on we see Aemond like basically trying to drag her into, like, hey, we need you for battle. We need a dragon. There's like 4 or 5 dragons over there. We only got 1 over here. We need 2, it's one of the, like, she's one of those characters where I didn't really put much thought into until this episode. Like, oh yeah, she's maybe, but I don't know if she's gonna have it in her to war. I think Rhaenyra even says, like, she's not a warrior. She's not gonna be a problem. And she even has like this, like, she doesn't even want to kill anybody. She's not gonna work on the battlefield, regardless of if Aemond physically drags her out herself. Like, she's not gonna kill people. So I think, I think Team Green is in trouble for that.
Dom, and then anything you want to say about Alf and his bullshit?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what was to be expected just based off of what we saw of his character. You know, he does seem like the character the minute that he gets access to a dragon, he's gonna be feeling himself a little bit. You know, he's a classic coward. He's high and mighty when he's got a dragon to back him up, and then when he doesn't, you know, and like I said, I'm not gonna say anything else. I've already spoiled a lot as far as what's gonna come later on at the Dance of Dragons, but it's gonna have dire consequences for Rhaenyra's side, to say the least. You know, and I also wanted to point out as well, not only Ult just being straight up disrespectful to Rhaenyra, but also flat out calling Jacaerys a bastard to his face in everything but name. Where he literally was like, "Oh, look at your dark hair. Look at us, both dragon riders. Who would have thought?" I was like, the balls on this dude. Jesus Christ! Like the fact that that just based on the fact that they're both bastards, he immediately thinks that him and Jace are equals when that could not be farther from the truth. You know, I just thought that was crazy. And I'm going to be very, very interested to see if if the tension between Ulf and Jacaerys, and also just the way that Jacaerys looks down, frankly, at the Dragon Seeds in general, is going to have any impact going forward, especially when it comes to the Battle of the Gullet next season. And as far as Helena and the Dreamfire conversation between Corlys, more so it's Corlys kind of reminding Rhaenyra, is reiterating exactly what he was saying to her in the first season finale, where he's like, you can't afford to wait any longer and hope that peace is going to come about. You know, you have a massive advantage that you just managed to get by the skin of your teeth. You need to take this now. You can't rely on Damon. The Greens are at an all-time low, but Aemon already scored sharp point. You cannot wait for them to get any more tactical advantages. You need to move now. As far as Helena and Dreamfire, you're right. Because if not for the fact that they have this conversation, you would almost be remiss to remember that Helena is a dragon rider to begin with. Not only is she a dragon rider, but she rides Dreamfire, who, if I'm not mistaken, is the second oldest dragon in the realm after Vhagar. Dreamfire was, I believe, was one of the first dragons hatched after Aegon's initial conquest happened. So, and we only saw the brief shot of Dreamfire in season 1 when Aemon, as a youngster, tried to go into the dragon pit in order to claim a dragon for himself, and Dreamfire saw him and blew fire at him. Was like, get the fuck away from it, you know? So yeah, just some interesting points all around. And I like that they are continuing to show that, okay, not all of Alison's children are screwed up. You know, Helena, as we see later on, is a green seer, but, you know, at the very least, you know, she shows that her gentle side, you know, wins out against Aemon, and, you know, and she ultimately doesn't want to fight and kill anyone.
Jermaine, when we go to visit Damon at Harrenhal, we have Alfred Bruce showing up, right, and basically turning coat on Rhaenyra to side with Damon as king, and Damon just laughs at him. What did you think about that? Did you have anything to say about Alf and the meeting between Corlys and Rhaenyra?
No, I think pretty much everyone covered that part. I guess what I wanted to say was this. I thought it was remarkable at how Damon was able to, I don't know, be very circumspect and, you know, just kind of laugh that off, given what he had been through thus far at Harrenhal. I'm starting to see that Damon is really truly changing. It's not a transaction. It is really and truly who he is becoming. And for lack of a better word, I was very proud of him in that moment.
Okay. So, Chad, you got Allison and Helena together, and Allison straight up asked Helena about how she would feel about leaving, right, and going somewhere else. Like, we would kind of feel like maybe Allison wants to do as well. On King's Landing. Aemon shows up for the first time, telling Helena that she needs to ride to fight, you know, because of the advantage now that the Blacks have on dragons over them. And she rebukes him, right? And Allison's there to like kind of, you know, cross-check him a little bit too, you know, and kind of tell him, you know, to stick out for her before the second attempt when she soloed up. What did you think about that scene?
So, as far as I can remember, this feels like the first scene where Allison is like directly confronting one of her children and being like, "You're a fuck up, and you're fucking everything up," and it causes Aemon to stop a little bit. But which kind of surprised me because in his current state, he's like, I think somebody said it earlier, like he is afraid. This is the first time since he's been a little boy, like ever since he got Vhagar, he has not been afraid of anything because he's got the big dick to back everything up. But this was the first time he's like, oh shit, I'm not going to win this. And he panicked and he burns that place down and he goes home and he's like, you're the only other dragon rider. And he said before he thinks of her as worthless, but he's like, "You're the only other dragon rider. You're coming with me. I don't care about what you say. I know you're worthless, but I need you to do this." And Allison has to tell him, like, "Nah, dude, like you are messing everything up." And I can't remember. She actually like takes a little bit of blame, but she does. She says just enough to get him to stop. But I think it only stops him in that moment. But it was the first time to me that it was like she's not complaining about her kids to somebody else. She's not thinking about the things that's happened that she's caused. It's like she's directly confronting one of her kids, and at this point, the worst kid that she has. And I think it's only because of Helena, because she views Helena as, I guess she views Helena as good, as we've seen of the ones that are in King's Landing. She's the only one that's good. So I think that's what gets her to step up and actually like confront him and not be, I guess, maybe afraid that he might do something to her, because that's how unstable he is.
Dom, I thought the scene with Sir Gawain having the sword on Kristen Cole was unnecessary. What'd you think?
I disagree. I think that was actually very necessary. I think that scene is going to go overlooked simply because it's the only sequence that we get of these two, and it doesn't really go anywhere or contribute to the plot of the episode. But I think that while it didn't contribute plot-wise, I think it was a crucial moment character-wise, because we needed this kind of a moment with Kristen Cole, because we've kind of spent all season hating him. We've seen him committing a variety of different awful deeds on the side of the Greens for the power, and we know where his motivation came from, obviously, last season with him being so betrayed and hurt by Rhaenyra. But this was kind of that little come to Jesus moment that he has with him. You know, obviously the fact of like, okay, Gawain recognizes that, you know, he sees that Allison gave him her favor. So, okay, so Cole's been fucking Allison. And he's like, yeah, well, I guess what? Allison hasn't technically been married ever since her husband died. So I technically haven't been doing anything wrong other, you know, and as far as breaking my vows, like, yeah, okay. Like, do we really care about that at this point? The biggest thing for me as far as why the scene is important is because it's kind of Kristen Cole accepting his fate. He's like, listen, at the end of the day, this war has started. There's no going back. We've given it over to the dragons, and the best we can hope for now is just a quick, clean death, ultimately. It's kind of ominous foreshadowing as far as how he dies later on in the war for anybody who's read the book, but also it's kind of him accepting that, like, this is the consequence of actions that both had nothing to do with him, but also him, because he unfortunately did play a part in this conflict. So, and kind of his acceptance of that, I think it was really nice to see, especially given that, like, we really haven't had a moment like this with him all season. So I personally enjoyed it.
You know, Fletcher, I'm sorry, I don't know if you're still around, but Wendigo is like a mythical creature, I believe. In Indian culture, it's like a mythical creature. Is that what it is, Dom?
Yeah, something basically like a werewolf. It's a combination of a werewolf and a yeti, essentially, is what it is, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, but that's what that is in that scene, Fletcher. It's a Wendigo. And shout out to everybody who's catching us live tonight. On Monday, August 5th, 2024. We appreciate it. Everybody on Rumble, Twitch, Twitter X, Facebook Live, YouTube, so-and-so, etc. We appreciate it. So, moving forward over to you, Andre's pop culture guy. Same question. What's up?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of, first off, I forgot the Helena was in the show, as Knight said before. And you know, I kind of get why Allison is protecting Helena. I mean, because, you know, she's the only daughter she has, and she's the only person that's, you know, not cruel or evil like the boys she has so far, the two boys we've seen and King's Landing. So, you know, she is protecting her, you know, and plus, you know, she's a mother that's still grieving. I mean, like, let's not forget, she lost, like, her son got killed in episode 1. So, you know, so it's definitely mother tender, you know, protecting her daughter from Aemon. And, you know, and she knows Aemon is a reckless person. I mean, the fact that she knows that she hurt Aegon. So, like, she's not stupid. So I think, like, I agree with Chad. She's becoming more proactive. But then that's the frustrating thing, is that she's now becoming proactive in the last minute. And, like, she should have been more proactive in the beginning. And that's like, oh, come on, Allison. You know, like, we needed you now. Like, it's like, what are you going to do? You know, it's just ridiculous. And the cold thing, I don't know. Like, I mean, we'll see. I'm just hoping he will die soon, but we'll see. I mean, come on. Alison's brother had the chance to do it, and I was so sad. Like, I was like, come on, boy. You were, like, my favorite. I was like, yes. His sword was, like, near him. And I was like, yes. And no. And we just had a conversation. I was like, okay. So that was really it. And the Damien thing and Haruto was, I think that is maybe my favorite thing with the whole season. I agree with Jermaine here. Like, he has become a changed person, and I think that's like, for me, I hope people will not forget about that side quest, because he has very complex feelings about what was going on, and his brother and Renea as the queen. So I think that was the best part about the season 2. So especially when we get into when Renea meets up with Damien, that scene was like so cool. With that whole army raising to Renee as the queen. But yeah, this section was very good.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, so just to really quick, this is how I wrote my notes down for the rest scene of the episode. The chick Triarchy Admiral beats Tywin's ass in the mud. Nope, he smokes her. Good scene. Love that man, bitch. There you go. That's how I wrote it up during the episode when I watched it. That's how my outline looks, baby. That's just to give you, if I was to give you that like in touch, lowdown, like behind the scenes, extra, deleted the scene type shit or whatever info. There you go, right there. There it is. The real, the real boil, breaking it down of the shit over here at the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. Yep, the bad bitch. She's something else. I loved her, man. She's good. I wouldn't mind sticking it to her either. She looks better than some chicks I've banged before. To be honest with you, I'm telling you. Anyway, so what do you think, Jermaine? What do you think of the mud fight between the Admiral?
I knew he was going to call on me. I just got to say, I love that man, bitch.
I like man witch too. Man witch is good.
No, we kind of talked about it earlier though. I pass. Go on to someone else.
You want to take a stab at it, Drew? What do you think of the mud fight?
It goes on for just a little bit too long, but yeah, well, there's some good moves, I guess. There's like a suplex, like a reverse suplex into. Doesn't he just like crack her in the face with like a backhand then, like at the end?
Yeah, basically.
Like they're actually wrestling until he just decides to like punch her in the face, and then it's over. But yeah, I mean, it was fine. It was a nice little chuckle here and there, and then she's like, "All right, I guess I'll give you my army." I was like, "Oh, okay, is that easy? You roll around in the mud for a little bit."
Jermaine, we get a scene with Jacaerys and Bela, and Bela tried to motivate him after he's all bent out of shape because of ult and all that shit from earlier. What'd you think about that?
Well, it kind of carries over from the previous episode where she always has his back, always. This is the person that she's betrothed to, and so I'm assuming that she has taken the time to actually get to know him, get to know his moods, and has figured a way out. I feel. I mean, that would have gotten me out of my sullen mood. What she told him. I mean, it was very direct. She was just basically like, "Do you think you're the first person to be?" I forget her exact words, but basically to be fathered by someone who wasn't of royal birth or what have you. And it made all the sense in the world. She was like, "Forget it. Who cares? No one cares. You have this title. No one is gonna defend you on it, at least not right now." And so I thought it was the perfect pitch, the perfect tone that someone in her position would have had or should have had, and hopefully he hears her.
Okay, Dom, you still with us? Dom, you there? Anyways, all right.
Oh man,
Dom, you there, buddy?
sorry about that. Sorry, I just had to use the bathroom. What's up?
I want to know if you wanted to opine on what we were just talking about there, which was the scene between Jacaerys and Bela.
Yeah. I enjoyed that scene. I did. I think that Baya and Jace together, they don't get a lot of screen time, a lot of book time, a lot of page time, what you will, in the book. So I really appreciate that we got a lot of, not a lot, but a decent amount of scenes with those two. And especially since it, kind of, she was basically calling him out for his shit, as far as, the real reason why he hates the Dragon Seed so much, which is that they are a consistent living reminder of his own bastardry, which is something that he has had to grow up living, And it's ironic because I don't remember where I saw this, but somebody online pointed out kind of the difference between Jace and Jon Snow's and Jon Snow's bastardry, or maybe it was sorry, no, it was the other Dragon Seeds and Jon Snow's bastardry, where Jon Snow, the fact that he had dark hair made him, actually, or it was between Jace and Jon Snow, where Jon Snow, right, his dark hair basically kept him alive, because if he had inherited the Targaryen white hair, Robert would have immediately known he was a Targaryen bastard and had him killed, versus Jace, his dark hair and light complexion was a dead giveaway that he was not, what's his name, Laenor's son, but rather Harwin's strong son. So I thought that was an interesting 1v1 comparison there. And whether Bela's words actually sunk in and meant anything to Jace, who knows? But we shall see, obviously, because like I said, everybody who's read the books and knows what's coming in season 3 of Battle of the Gullet, oh man, Jacaerys is not long for this world. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, we see Rhaenyra sit down and have a meal with her dragon riders, and Ulf is kind of an asshole again. Right, he shoots his mouth off and shit. Right, what'd you think, Chad?
I think I kind of said my piece on Ulf. He is the wrong person to give power to, and he's just gonna be a problem. I don't know what's gonna happen next, but you can tell shit's gonna go wrong. It's gonna be his fault because he's a little bit full of himself. And I'll keep it short on him this time.
Any other thoughts on that scene or the ones before that?
Before that with Jacaerys and what's her name? I always forget her name.
Bela.
When I watched that scene, it just further illustrates that in this show they tend to make they try to show that most of the times the women are the more logical ones when all this is going down. So they're the one, they're calling you out. They're pretty much on point. They think things through, and they try not to end things in dumb ways where it's all the men are like kind of, kill, pow, stupid stuff. And I thought this was just it was a smaller example of that, but it's shown that with each woman that we've seen in the series pretty much so far.
Drew, same question. Any thoughts on the meal with the dragon riders and Rhaenyra?
Going back to Jace, another character, a lot of characters in this season in particular have just been like projecting left and right, like on people that reflect their own weaknesses on them. As mentioned, just looking at Ulf is like, oh, this guy, like, this is all a threat to my own heritage at some point. Kristen Cole projecting hard. Allison projects hard too in this season. So that's sort of an interesting trait that a lot of characters have been getting. No, Ulf is like, yeah, absolutely. He's gonna be he's gonna ruin a day coming up. He's gonna ruin somebody's day coming up. I don't know who, but
he's gonna ruin a couple of people's.
Yeah, it's like seeing like one of those bratty kids get the golden ticket. And he's like, oh, I don't want to. This guy, they don't deserve it. But it's a nice contrast to Hugh, who's like, as I said earlier, he's like that perfect guy who he gets his power and he treats it respectfully. He doesn't overstep. He's very polite. He's like, oh shit, I'm being feasted and stuff. I gotta wear my napkin. I gotta have my manners on. Ulf is like Kano from Mortal Kombat, where he's just shoving the turkey in his mouth and bothering Goro. I don't know yeah, he's just a slob.
How boring was Damon's arc this season? I thought it was
Not
all right.
boring at all.
It didn't bother me. Did you have any other thoughts, Drew, or anything that preceded that question?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I'm just a pop culture guy. So we revisit Damon at Harrod Hall, where we have the Alice River seed, where he gets his vision. And she turns into Helena and all that shit, right?
Yeah.
So what'd you think?
So again to this scene, I thought this scene was fantastic. You combine this and answering Andrew's question, how boring was Damon's arc, you have to appreciate this arc because I think it's such a cool and like a very good way to change Damien's like person, like his view on the war that he's in right now, because now he understands. Because like, remember last season he got told by Renea about the song of fire and ice, and he didn't understood the concept of it. So with this vision, this final vision, he actually understood now what's coming up in the future. So now he is now in line with Renea's like cause and the promise that she had from Damon's brother, the father, the brother. And so, because he was having a tough time to, accept that his brother didn't tell him this, like prophecy that's going to happen with his family and all that. So now he is totally accepting, this prophecy with Renea, and like, he's now on board Renea as the queen, and he will now serve her as the heir as promised by her brother. So I think this arc was really crucial to like get him like be part of Team Black officially, and protect Renea, and like try to get the fire and ice prophecy like going for Renea, and get rid of Team Green, So I really dug this vision. It's just so creepy. It's very visually like so dark, and and then that Helena thing was like so creepy. Because we know Helena has some ability or something like that of like the future, like predicting something that is gonna happen. Like she predicted that something is gonna happen to her son. Something was gonna happen in episode 7 about the queen who never be like escaping from the King's Landing. So her going into Damon's visions is kind of like, okay, confirming that she has this like supernatural ability. But yeah, so I really dug the sequence, and I get people not liking it either because it's just so weird. Like I haven't seen the original show. I don't know how like far they went with the supernatural stuff. Like this goes very like A24 like supernatural stuff.
They went pretty far with the supernatural stuff in Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. You just had to like go with the supernatural thing. Like that's how it is. So that's all I had to say right now.
Jermaine.
Damn, what we talking about?
Damon's arc.
Damon's arc. I actually I enjoy Damon's arc. I think
The vision scene.
the vision scene
with Alice Rivers. Where she turns into what's her name? Helena Targaryen.
So that was cool. That was cool on a lot of different levels. It put Helena into the mix. It kind of told us that actually her character is important. And number two, it provided the substance that Damon needed, so that he would better understand his brother, he would better understand his wife, and he would better understand the role that he needs to play here going forward, as it relates to this particular show. And so that entire scene or that sequence was perfect. I wish it had come a few episodes earlier, because we really didn't need to have most of Harrenhal. If that had happened earlier, a lot of action would have occurred a lot faster.
Okay. Dom, any thoughts on the vision?
Yeah, I loved it. I really, really enjoyed it. I'll admit, this episode got leaked online, and I did end up watching the leaks because that's me. I'm a psychopath. I don't like waiting for. I don't like waiting for shit. I know if it's out. I remember back when season 7 was airing, they leaked episodes 4 and 6 early, and I watched them both early because I'm like, why am I? It's a Game of Thrones episode available now. Why am I not going to watch this? And obviously harkening back to, Game of Thrones, showing the prophecy of ice and fire, showing Daenerys and her 3 dragons, showing the coming of the White Walkers, the 3-eyed raven, Brandon Rivers. I thought that was also awesome, as well as showing, some visions of some things that are going to happen relatively soon. The storming of the dragon pit, all those dead dragon carcasses. I really like that. And I mentioned this on my podcast last night. This was the only way that Damon was going to be humbled. It was the only way, because as Alice Rivers says, he is a character who has spent his entire life trying to control his own destiny. He is tried to bend everybody else around him to his will. And so the fact that he is finally being brought to heel by forces that are greater than himself, by reminding him, you are not the centerpiece, you are just another piece in this story. It was the best possible way, and the only way, frankly, for him to have this kind of come to Jesus moment and, reaffirm his loyalty to Rhaenyra, especially since they've been apart for pretty much this entire season, really.
Chad, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, since last time I was on, I was the one that was hating on Harrenhal. I did not like anything about it. But with everything what happens here with the Vision, I appreciate it a little bit more, because it's the only way that we were getting Damon to this point that we needed him to be to get his arc complete to this point. So I just want to apologize to Harrenhal just a little bit. I still didn't like half of it, but I get it. I get it. The Vision was good. We can appreciate it now.
Drew, did you have any thoughts?
This is going to be a strange, weird analogy, but Damon's entire arc this season felt like Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol, where it's like Scrooge getting the visions of the past, present, and the future, and him, he's seeing ghosts of the past, he's seeing visions of the future, and it comes full circle with him deciding he's perfectly happy being like a smaller cog instead of being the entire machine, and trying to, maybe he thought at one point he did want to try and just take the crown for himself, but at some point he realizes it's better to just go by the late Viserys's wishes and just support Rhaenyra for the greater good, so to speak. I think it's good to point out too that there are, like Andrew said, a lot of people were, I guess, disappointed or thought that Damon's stuff was just way too slow, because Damon in season 1 just comes out in that first episode, he's chopping dicks off and he's slaughtering people in the streets, and he's a very proactive, like he's a shoot first, ask questions later kind of guy. You don't know what he's capable of. He's just all over the map, and you're like, oh, he's I don't know what he's going to do in this scene. He's very exciting to watch. And then here it's like a drastic shift in the other direction, where you're just sort of watching a man go through like an existential crisis in a dilapidated castle. So I totally understand the disappointment with people being bored with it. Like, I understand, it's not quite what he was in season 1, but it is a very important arc, and hopefully this will set up a greater thing for him to do in season 3, and hopefully we'll see him kick some ass with his dragon and slice some heads off. Yeah, like when he cut what's his name's head off in the throne room of season 1. That was such a Damon thing.
Yeah,
at that
Corlys'
point,
brother.
Corlys' brother. Yeah, it's just like it comes so, and he's like, he puts the sword away. He's like, he can keep his tongue, or whatever. Oh man, yeah. So I think switching over there is why the general masses seem to have been disappointed. Overall, it's still very, very entertaining. It's better than 99% of other TV out there right now. But
Okay, thank you, Drew. Jermaine, Amen it goes at Helena again. This time, trying with a different approach. Kind of tried with a more suave approach to her. And she rejects him again and makes some pretty intense, points to him, as far as using, her powers or whatever, her vision, her dream vision or whatever the fuck she has. She, points some things out to him and straightens him out a little bit. What do you think?
So that moment when she basically says, "So what are you gonna do to me? Are you gonna burn me like you burned Aegon?" And he was just like, "That's treasonous. I don't know what."
I can have you killed.
I can have you hanged for treason. Yeah. And she was like, "I saw it. Now what you gonna do?" And I thought it was beautiful. And the reason I thought it was beautiful was because I'm your sister. And I know what the truth is, and you know that I know this. Now, I can't do anything about it. You know I can't do anything about it, but I know. I ain't got to do what you want me to do. And remember, I am the queen. I thought it was beautiful.
Okay. Chad, same question.
Yeah, I actually didn't think Eamon had this in him, like this different approach to Helena. Like he's still very much a prick, but before every interaction I remember of him with her, like he's been really brash and short and like commanding, and this time he actually comes to her like appealing as a sibling, but still trying to be forceful to get what he wants. And then yeah, this is her response is the most forceful way that she's been in this entire show that I can remember. And just by telling him what she knows, again, he's still in this frame of mind where he shook. He's seen those other dragons. He's acting brash, so he still shook. And then by her telling him, "I know what you did to our brother and my husband," which is still weird for me to say, but I know what you did to him, and I know what's about to happen, and I know you're about to die. So you can just kind of step off. And he's been dismissive of her every other time, but now you see him realize that yes, she's telling the truth. This is right, and he doesn't really know what to do with it. Even if he was in a better frame of mind, he wouldn't know what to do with it. In this current frame of mind, he is completely out of it because he doesn't know what to do next, and that's different for him since he has been so in control of everything he wants to do. Again, since he had Vagar, so an unstable Eamon is probably going to mean some bad shit for a lot of people coming up.
Dom, we get Rhaenyra and Adam showing up at Harrenhal. There's a dead silence when the Rhaenyra comes in. It's very eerie. David comes out. They talk in High Valyrian. David bends the knee, and then we get his speech.
Well, first things first, I want to give a shout out to Sir Simon Russell Beal, the actor who portrays Simon Strong. Really underrated performance from a powerhouse and veteran of the English theater, if you will. So, really enjoyed his performance. I love how the minute that he smells a whiff of treachery from Damon, he immediately writes to Rhaenyra. And at first, when Rhaenyra is like, "Yeah, you wrote of treachery, you were worried," he's like, "As I did suspect something, but here, come and see." And we see ultimately the result of Damon's vision quest. He ultimately and kind of the conclusion of his arc. He is a changed man. He understands now his place in this war. And he makes his final appeal / apology to Rhaenyra almost a little too late, if you will, because as Rhaenyra tells him, was like, "Yeah, the next time you pull some shit like this, it's gonna be your last," and that once again has dire consequences. Dire consequence going forward towards their relationship. Drew, to address that comment, Battle of the Gullet is not the big final battle, but it's going to be one of the more decisive battles going forward. And probably, if you ask me, it's probably the biggest major battle involving the most amount of dragons across the entirety of the Dance of the Dragons. I won't spoil the logistics of it, but essentially, we got about 5 or 6 dragons that take part in this fight. So yeah, it's going to be a big one to say the least.
Nice.
Okay. I'm just a pop culture guy.
No, I really like that scene. It just, as I reiterate with the vision tree that, now Damon is in the same page now, and he's now gonna go through, Renea as the queen, and as knights and brought up before, Damien, is kind of accepting to just being, the second hand, not getting involved with the big politics and all that, the war, because it's just too much. And especially that vision when he had with his brother, a couple episodes ago. Do you want to be the king and you want to be burdened with this responsibility? And I think this episode kind of confirms that, nah. I just like to be the badass, soldier that cuts dicks off for a living. So I think he totally understands where he is, and it makes sense, you have to understand he's human and he lost his brother that he deeply cares about and he loved. And so he was, and plus, remember, despite he wasn't close to Renea's kids, he like Luke was his like son, and losing him as well was just another bonus of like him going these crises. So I felt that moment of him pledging Renea was such a beautiful moment, and was like such a oh my god, like Fitz punt moment, you know. I was like, yeah, you know, like now we got the army, you know. And I don't know, you guys caught this. It was funny. One of that was it that counselor person that was like so annoying, and like he was like questioning
Broom.
after Broom, like he like he skipped town, like he went like I don't know, like went back into like the crowd, like as he saw Renea. It was like so funny, and I agree with you, Dom. That's Sir Strawn character was definitely the MVP here. He was really great in this season. I thought he really had great presence, and like he did the right thing to get Renea come over there. So I hope he survived in next season. I don't want him to die.
He doesn't survive.
Ah, god damn it! I hate you, House.
What part of everybody in this conflict, except for Corliss and 3 others, die have you guys been missing these last 8 weeks?
I don't know. I was just hoping for the best. But come on, when Kristen Cole's gonna get his like his turn to die? Come on,
soon, very soon.
All right, hopefully. I want that to happen because that man needs to die. No offense to the actor, he's amazing, but you're a dick. No offense.
Drew, we get the scene where we see Sir Corliss talking with Alan, and Alan gets really impassioned about, you know, not wanting to be helped and all that. What'd you think about that? And then any thoughts on the Harrenhal scene with Rhaenyra?
Well, I think everyone covered it very nicely. I would like to shout out to the real VIP though, Ramin Djawadi for the fantastic score. Because when it starts trumpeting and everyone just starts like cheering for after Damon bends the knee, it's pretty good. It's very inspiring. It's very like, oh man, I was almost getting like the King of the North vibes on that scene. It was just so, I don't know, epic. But no, yeah, the scene where Corliss is talking to his sons or whatever, and yeah, it's pretty great. Where they both sort of have things to say they want to get off their chests, and they both try to have like the mic drop moment before leaving, but the other one comes in and the son basically says, no, you know, I'll do my honor and I'll serve, you know, assuming I survive, but I'll do it alone. I'll do it just as I walk the earth or whatever alone. Yeah, powerful stuff. And how he had to like watch, you know, his dad with you know, his other kids walk by him, you know, eating more than their fill, and you know, having a nice castle to stay warm. Just wonderful dialogue. Really expressive stuff for the characters. Like everyone in the show like has something to do, has a reason for being there, and there's no like filler or fluff. It's like I wouldn't want to trim any of this down outside of maybe a tiny bit from the mud wrestling. But yeah, it's wonderful. I think it's a great scene.
Jermaine, any thoughts, sir?
So that moment when Rhaenyra walks in and she basically asks Damon, who does he serve, or who's his master, or whatever her wording was. And Damon kind of looks back and he smirks for a second, and then he starts speaking in High Valyrian, and when he basically tells her that he now understands, and then he adds in English, my queen, and then when he basically he bent the knee to her, everything in me was just like, it's about fucking time. It's about time. Things are starting to align in the way that they should, so that this house can get to work. Right. And it wasn't an emotional scene, especially when everyone else also bend their knee, more so than when he bended his knee. When they started to bend their knee, it was like, okay, it's very clear. everyone is all behind you. Everyone is supporting you. All you have to do is make the best tactical decisions that you can to get this show on the road. And then the scene with Carlos and his son, it just reminded me of so many of my cousins and their relationship with their dad. Anytime that they had like issues, especially like as they became an adult and they were able to express themselves. In the South, you can't talk back to your parents, but as an adult, you can kind of like test those boundaries, and that's exactly what he did. And he was just basically telling them, my life has been shit. It has really literally been shit, and now you come and you're trying to tell me that you're trying to help me out. No, forget you. I've been doing this, and I've been taking care of my brother, right? And I've been dealing with a whole lot of grief. And you coming at the last minute, that's not helping me. That's making things worse for me, right? But I'm gonna persevere. I'm gonna do what I need to do. I'm gonna put my head down, and I'm gonna get it done. It was such an emotional scene for both characters. Even though Carlos basically didn't say anything, it was an emotional scene even for him, because the realization of his mistakes and how his mistakes hurt this man and his brother, his other son. That was heavy. That was a heavy thing to watch.
Chad, we see Reyna again, chasing the wild dragon, and I believe is Sheep Stealer, and we actually see the dragon. And it screams at her and all that shit, right? And we kind of see them face off. What do you think?
I know that I don't know the lore of all this so much, but I do know that this seems to be she's replacing a character. Nettles, which I wish I knew more about the character to understand what we're losing in this. From what we've seen in the show, I guess it fits for her because she has been the one that has wanted a dragon so long and has tried so hard and could not get anything. That now that she's so desperate, she's chasing this wild dragon, and there's no telling how this could go. We know how it will go, but in her mind, there's no telling how this could go. So that desperation, it shows desperation and kind of determination of her character. Because I don't know the Nettles part, I don't know how her dragon fits in with everything else that's going on outside of the fact that it would add more to Rhaenyra's army. So I'm just kind of curious to see where they go with her, and once we see that, how that differed from what happened in the books.
Okay. I'm just a pop culture guy. Going back to you, sir. Your thoughts on everything that I just dropped out, those simple questions I just threw out there?
Yeah, sure. The Baylor thing, I gotta say that was my least favorite of this episode, besides the terror thing. I get that I get from last season and then this season, she feels like she's not being like not being part of the war and not contributing, Team Black, and plus, not getting the dragon for so long. I totally get that, but I kind of felt like you didn't really need this. I think you could have just saved that for next season or something like that. But I was happy for her. I guess she is getting a dragon, so that's good. At least now Renee is gonna get another dragon rider, and that's gonna be this one. That's kind of cool. But yeah. And then what was the other one? Jeff, just remind me.
We had Sir Corliss with Alan. Then we had Rhaenyra and
yeah,
Adam going to Harrenhal.
Yeah. So I actually really like the Carl and Adam thing. That was a really great dramatic scene. I think that is maybe the best highlight for this episode. Him telling him, look, don't try to get into like my life or like interfere, my life now, because like it's too late. You were not there for me and my brother, and not like you were not my father, and like I had to go through the hardship of any other, low class person that wasn't, like high society, like you and your two other children that you clearly loved, and you're trying to replace them with us, him and his brother now. uh and I thought that was so powerful, and I hope we see him again in a more expanded role next season, because I thought he was telling the truth, and just another great dramatic scene. That moment, and the Bella talking to Cole in the couple episodes ago, like those were the best moments from this season. Just so powerful, and getting through like Cole as a person, because I like Cole as a character, and he is a very flawed person, and sometimes he kind of like he gets his ambitions away from the real thing he has in front of him, and I think that's something that he doesn't realize sometimes, and especially now not having his wife around. So yeah, I really dug this sequence. I think this that sequence is my favorite. The Bella thing is just so weak, and it's like we don't need that. Honestly, and like, why risk your life for a dragon? Come on, like you could be productive by protecting your other like siblings that you were assigned to. Come on,
Drew, Rhaenyra and Viseria bullshit right before Allison shows up. It sneaks on, and we see the scene between Rhaenyra and Allison where where they essentially Allison sues for peace essentially by opening up, and leaving a spot for Rhaenyra to come in with the Black Army and take over the throne, right? So what did you think of that, sir?
It's a nice little role reversal from, I believe, the third episode, right, where she basically does the same thing, sneaks into the Sept, posed as one of the Silent Sisters, and essentially is trying to like talk some sense into Allison. Then, like, is there a way can we like wrap this up without any more bloodshed? And she's like, no, you've already spilled blood on in the keep. There's no way we're gonna wrap this up. And now it's all of a sudden she's had a completely 180 turn of heart, since then. Where she's like, I think she sees the writing on the wall with Aemond, and what happened with Aegon, who's like all but like useless at this point. He still has his brain, but he can't even move. Like he's may even be bedridden for the rest of his life. So she's desperately trying to just wrap this up now. With despite the fact that I think she even signs off on basically Aegon's death warrant, assuming Rhaenyra is allowed to just waltz in and take the throne. I would assume they didn't really mention Aemond. I don't believe in that scene, but I would assume she would be killing him as well.
Well, no, they did. They said that Aemond was going to fly off to join Kristen Cole's forces when they eventually get to Harrenhal. So when Aemond and Vhagar leave, it'll leave the city wide open for the taking.
Well, I know for the taking, but I meant like she only demanded Aegon's head, not Aemond's head.
Well, because Aegon's the current sitting king, and so she needs to be seen taking his head as a sign of him being the usurper. Aemond simply is a prince regent, so obviously once Aegon's out of the way, everybody else is kind of, not as important, They're
presumed that they would just fall in line then.
Exactly. Well, because once they see Aegon is the usurper, then that removes any sort of legitimacy of Aemond as well.
Right. Okay. It just seems hard for me to believe they would let Aemond walk away.
Oh, they would.
I was like, they'd probably kill him too.
They would.
But yeah, I just like the fact that it was a role reversal of both girls have at one point tried to like end it like as easily as possible, just because it was like, oh, this is gonna be rough. We're gonna have some rough travels up ahead if we don't do something now.
Chad, your thoughts?
So this was my favorite scene because again, it's this. I do like the thought of it being a role reversal, but it's also like Rhaenyra's kind of calling Allison on her shit because she's like, this. You basically started because you're the queen of virtue, but you hadn't been real virtuous here lately, and look at what it's all caused. And I came to you earlier to do something about it, and you just kind of just looked at me and was like, "There's nothing we can do." So now you're coming to me. You know what has to happen. I need you to say it. I need you to say that your kid is gone, and you know it. And I don't know how. I don't know how she walked in there thinking that she could ask this and not think that Aegon would have to die. I mean, she knew it, but she didn't. I don't think she thought Rhaenyra would actually say it. But of course, Rhaenyra is going to make her say, "Yes, I'm giving up my kid to die," and it's the least you can do for everything else that has happened because it's your fault. So it was a great scene between both of these actresses, like conveying that, and Olivia Cook conveying the conflict she had of having to actually say, yes, Aegon has to die for this to end and not have all this bloodshed, but it's the right thing to do. So I really enjoyed the scene overall.
Jermaine.
Yeah, I don't know if I can add too much to what others have said. I was kind of conflicted. The dialogue seemed to be too spot on, or too similar to the episode where Rhaenyra basically was trying to end the war earlier, and now all of a sudden Rhaenyra is like saying, you know, why are you here? Yada 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 yada. That was kind of irksome for me. For a minute until the realization that Aegon had to die, like that part, like intrinsically, I knew that Aegon had to die, but the fact that they talked about it in that setting, in that way, that made it much more emotional, much more palpable, much more real, and that set the scene. That part of the conversation set the scene more than anything else prior to, and it was powerful. It was a powerful scene.
Jermaine, I skipped the Tywin singing the captain song or whatever, and then the man bitch chick saying you can fuck my wives and all this shit. I want you to fuck my wives. I skipped that. Yeah, I know you like that scene, right?
Not so much the singing part, but the part where she was just like, I want you to have sex with my wives. What exactly did she say? I want you
to fuck my wives.
But it was something that she said first.
She said, "I want to have baby with you," and then she said, "Would you fuck my wives?" Right.
So at that point, it was just kind of like, hold up, wait a minute. I thought you were trying to be, I don't know what I thought, intersexed or what have you. And then when she said that, it was like, oh, you're married to women. This woman is married to women. And so it was like, oh, wow. But so have we ever seen a person be married to more than one person on this show?
Well, it's Tyrosh, baby. They don't fuck around in Tyrosh. They do all the crazy shit.
Yeah, this is Essos. Essos play by different rules in Westeros.
I think Damien, right? Damien is married 3 times now.
No,
right?
but he's saying to multiple people at once.
Oh, at once. Okay. Yeah. No.
The Iron Island people take multiple wives when they're just out pillaging.
Yeah, but those are the salt wives. That's not the same thing. They're
not exactly.
They're basically they're gumars. They're concubines. Those aren't their real wives.
Interesting.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So Audrey's a pop culture guy. We then get the getting ready for battle ending, right, where it shows all the armies converging, right? The Greybeards from Stark and all that. Seattle Hightower in prison, right? All that shit. What do you think of that ending, sir?
I thought that ending was very good. I mean I agree with some of you brought up the music here. I thought what really helped it was the music. Like the music here really like elevates it, like makes me really pumped for the war now escalating, which is good. We saw briefly, the war in this season, but like now we're gonna see a much bigger scale, which is good for next season. And I thought the finale, this final scenes were really good. And just last, touching on the conversation with Allison and Renea, I thought it was really cool how that was like an inverse of that from episode 3. Again, I brought up that I appreciate that Allison was was being proactive, but it was just a little too late to be proactive now and try to invert the war. Like, come on. You shouldn't like actually listen to Renia at episode 3 on that point. It just shows how Allison is so like just like out of a high tower, really tinkering, very like egotistical. Like she has an ego, or like she has an ego slash like just her own agenda that just plows her mind, and it's like, come on, like. And I agree with Renea in that scene that like, oh, you're so high, like I don't know what she said, like she was like very innocent, and it's like Allison's not innocent. She literally fucked Cole, which literally break the vow of a queen and all that, and like she did other things that was questionable, but yeah, but I really appreciate this finale. I thought it was like it really makes me excited for season 3, which is good. But yeah, overall great. And I just hope we get more for in 2 years.
Dom, I threw a lot out there. What you got?
Yeah, you did. Well, first things first, I didn't get a chance to talk about the Allison Rhaenyra one-on-one scene, which was my absolute favorite sequence of the episode. The big thing for me to take away is for a brief second, this was the moment where they regressed and became those two young girls that we met them as in the beginning of the series, where it's like for a second they put aside all the politicking, and for a second they were like, can we just please be human with each other and understand where we came from, kind of again what Otto was trying to do with Rhaenyra at the end of season 1, and now they finally get a chance to actually have that conversation that they really should have had a long time ago, before all this politicking, before they were kind of steered into their directive paths by their respective fathers. Ultimately, it really is tear-jerking ultimately, because again, there's another universe where the two of them would have been best friends and possibly lovers, who knows. But it's really sad ultimately to see Allison. The sad thing about Allison realizing her flaws and her faults in terms of starting this conflict is the fact that she never ultimately wanted this. She really, again, only was pursuing what she thought was right. And the fact that Rhaenyra, again, was kind of only reacting to this and now is checking Allison and making her realize, yes, you have done all this, but at the same time is sad for her friend, because at the end of the day, she knows that it's one of those things where it's the Harry and Voldemort thing. It's the Vi and Jinx thing. It's the Batman Joker. It's the Professor X and Magneto with the best friends that now are unfortunately on opposing paths that will only ultimately lead to destruction. And I love moments like that. I love character arcs. I love character journeys like that. I love stories like that. And so every time I see something like it, it hits me. It hits a little extra hard. I think that's part of the reason why I'm such a big fan of Wicked the Musical, and why I am beyond angry at how they're going to screw up the movie when that comes out. As far as the ending montage, I mean, Game of Thrones specializes in those end all montages. I did just do a countdown of them. You got the Lannisters marching towards Harrenhal. You got the Starks, the Greybeards marching down the twins. You've got the High Towers marching up from Old Town. You saw a quick shot of Tessarion, Darren's dragon flying above them. What's it called? You got the Triarchy sailing. You got Corlys and Alan sailing towards their ship. You have Allison and Rhaenyra both kind of staring off into the distance. Literally, we are. This is, it's kind of a reminder to us that this entire season, as much happened this season, this really again was just the precursor, and now it's full on war, and it's about to get bloody. Like what we saw this season, that ain't nothing compared to what's coming.
Okay. Jermaine, any thoughts on that final ending montage?
It was nice. It was nice, but I wanted to see them fight. That's all.
I think we all did.
I just wanted to see them fight.
That's the going consensus across the board. We all wanted to see them fight.
Chad, do you have anything for that ending?
The only thing I can add to that is I'm just curious about where Otto's been and what cell he's in. Where is that cell? All of the things that going on with Otto Hightower in that little scene.
Well, they said that like people have already said in previous episodes that their ravens aren't getting sent back.
Right.
When people are trying to communicate to him for a couple months now. So he's been I imagine he's been in prison for quite a while.
Yeah.
As to who, I have no idea. I really have no clue. But Drew, any thoughts?
The ending shot montage is just beautiful. sort of seeing all the working parts coming together towards like this big battle, which will probably span like all of the next season. It almost feels like this is like the penultimate season finale leading into like the very ending, which I guess it probably won't be. We'll probably at least get 2 more seasons, I would think.
We are. They confirmed
Yeah.
it. It's going to be 2 more seasons.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I do enjoy scenes like that, like in all epics and stuff, when they have that like sort of montage of where it shows everybody where they're at one given time. I think Full Metal Alchemist does that at one point. There's a whole slew of musicals that have like big numbers where everybody's like singing their part and doing their thing. South Park the movie does that. It is sort of neat just seeing like a good strung together edited montage of that. Sort of really upset that we didn't get more Otto Hightower this season. I mean, very intriguing to see that he's in prison. Where is he in prison? I don't know. It almost looked like the cells from the Red Keep, but I who knows? If I was a betting man, I'd probably say Laris is behind it, but once again, who knows? I really couldn't guess. It could just be another enemy somewhere. Otto Hightower is a pretty important guy, and man, oh man, he is one of the best scenes. Like I said earlier, is every scene with Otto is great. Even in season 1, he's like Tywin version 2.0.
All right, let's do ratings and our final thoughts, and then we're going to plug out of here and call it a night. Jermaine, your rating and final thoughts, sir.
This particular episode got a 6.5 from me. It was a long episode. There were some points to the episode that just kind of meandered, didn't really need it. I see that episodes 4 and 7, they spent a whole lot of money on that. That kind of makes sense considering how the season ended. However, that doesn't mean that I don't want to watch season 3. I want 2 years to go by like that. I want it. I want it now.
Okay, I'm just a pop culture guy, sir.
I'll give this a 8 out of 10. I think this was a good finale. It's one of the slowest, like it's a slow finale, but like it's setting us up for season 3, and that's very important. And we got great moments. We got really great, funny scenes that I'm not gonna forget, which is hilarious. Like we got Pirate Lady. Hopefully we got more of her. I mean, come on. Like it was funny. It's like, how dare you disrespect? And he's like, I'm just kidding with you. Like, come on. That was funny. And we got, another great scene with Allison Renea before the season was over. So that was really cool. So it gave us enough before we ended the season. And I think this season was much better than season 1. This was more confident. It had very ambitious storylines that they actually deliver very well. Like we're on the point for the next 2 seasons, which is a good thing. But yeah, and just the budget thing. I just want to bring up August's point. That's very normal with a lot of these like cable shows like Showtime and HBO. Like there's always going to be one episode that they actually spent a lot of money on, and there's some that's going to be like cost effect. That's normal. And House of the Dragon and its previous show, Game of Thrones, did a really good job of like knowing what important episode that like we need to spend money on, and then the ones that like are just like the filler ones, but like to like move forward the plot. So like that's normal, folks. I get now. I get that right now in Hollywood, there's with the strikes and like everything, but it doesn't mean that it's affecting the show. Like it's still the same show. So I just want to let you know. So 8 out of 10.
Chad.
I think I'm going to go 8 as well. The scenes with the Lannister and the pirate lady kind of brought it down, and the sheep stealer scenes. I don't think we didn't necessarily need those here, so they kind of just slowed down the episode as a whole. But we got that great scene with Rhaenyra and Allison. That's always going to be a winner in my book. And we got other great acting scenes. I know a lot of people are missing the action in this one, but I think this is all about the getting the actors together to set up what seems to be a bloody season 3 coming up. So I'm going to go with an 8.
August, $20 million per episode is plenty enough for CGI and everything. 20 million is enough. That's a lot. $160 million for a season of the House of the Dragon is a lot of money. That's more money than the Game of Thrones used to get for their episodes. So I don't really see why it would be a problem. But Drew.
I think I'm going to follow the trend and say 8 as well. That seems to be a perfect rating for this episode. I think for the season as a whole too. That may change. If everything that happened in the season is set up perfectly for season 3, then I may look back on this and give it even higher. I think rewatching this show in general, if they can stick the landing, will definitely make some of these. It's a season like this. It's just more setup and less payoff. Will definitely be a lot better then. So yeah, I'm going to stick with 8.
I'm going to give it a 9. Dom.
I give this season a 9. As far as, except for the final episode, the season gave me everything that I wanted for this phase of the dance. This episode, I'm going to give a 7. And the reason for that is because, again, it's not necessarily how they use the budget. It's, for me, the writing of this episode and really the emphasis on it. The fact that they really did treat this episode overall more so as a trailer, really for season 3.
That's not true. August, Game of Thrones was not $56 million an episode. Get the fuck out.
Not for the first couple seasons either.
Get the fuck out of here.
Maybe for later on, but not for the first couple seasons.
Get the fuck out of here, bro.
But anyways, what's it called? And the reason why is because, again, so this episode overall really is just kind of a setup for season 3. I'm not saying that I didn't like what we got a lot of in this episode. I really, really did like a majority of this episode. But again, I guess it's in terms of what we were expecting versus what we got. Instead, I think we were expecting at least one more battle, or one at least a kind of very decisive, motion, rather than kind of what we got, which was a lot of kind of glad handing. And there were also, again, a lot of random scenes, a lot of, brief insert scenes. We finally are teased, Otto's back. Okay, it's just a brief sequence of him in a cage. The triarchy scenes went on for way too long. We didn't need them for it to be as long as they did in order to just set up what's ultimately going to be just one more massive battle that we never see those characters again. The Reyna pursuing Sheepstealer, that could have been one sequence. We didn't need 3 separate scenes following them. Also, would it have been nice to actually see her claim the dragon in that episode? I don't know. I just think that personally would have been a good payoff, because Chad, in order to go based off what you were talking about before, as far as how Reyna claims Nettles claiming Sheepstealer is part of the Sowing of the Seeds. That's the 4th seed that's established. So it would have been nice to see Reyna claiming Sheepstealer, not just running into the dragon and then them just cutting that off, as far as that goes. So for as much good as there was, I understand everybody's gripes and complaints. That's why this episode probably for me was the weakest overall of the season, just in the sense of no other episode this season really left me being like, really? That's all that we got? Like this episode did. So that's my final thoughts.
Thank you, Dom. August, I'm sorry, but the first 5 episodes of Game of Thrones did not cost $56 million. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry, but that is absolutely ridiculous. It did not cost $56 million an episode to make Game of Thrones. That never happened in any reality. They increased the budget of Game of Thrones periodically throughout the course of the entire span of the different seasons, but they started off at a pretty low number. The first season was, I think the whole budget of the first season was under $100 million. It was. Yeah. So I don't know.
They couldn't even afford to show the battle in season 1.
They couldn't. Yeah, there was some $56 million an episode in Game of Thrones. It never happened. So I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know if he's I don't know if he's adjusting the inflation, but I don't know if that's even accurate.
It's only been 14 years since that first season. So
yeah.
That would have bankrupted HBO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. Come on, August. Get real. Anyways, try to come in the comment section with that bullshit. All right, guys. Time for plugs. Jermaine, you ready to talk about Fantasy's reality, baby? I noticed you got your sub numbers are up, baby. Since you've been fucking with the bleeding edge. What's up?
Yeah, Fantasy is reality. We're going on a bit of a hiatus right now. So there's the only thing that we've got coming out is the House of the Dragon.
Hey, that's not a bad thing to work with, brother. You'll be okay. Chad, thanks for coming on with us tonight. We appreciate it, brother.
Man, thank y'all for having me.
No problem. All right. Drew, nice nostalgia. Got anything new for us to talk about since our last show?
I just streamed some Zelda 2 earlier, if that's your thing. I mainly am a gaming channel. I live stream games 3 or 4 times a week. Always up for talking about movies, TV, nerd culture stuff. Like that's generally a big topical thing for me that I talk about in the chat with any followers or viewers that come my way. I usually try to interact with all chatters as long as it doesn't get too wild or crazy. But a very eclectic a group of gaming that I do, anywhere from older side scrollers to newer Resident Evil to RPGs to I just did Cuphead recently as well, Darkest Dungeon. So yeah, if you're into gaming and movie and video game talk, I'm your guy.
I like Two Girls in a Cup.
That's a classic.
Of course you do.
I'm gonna stream that one time.
Oh, please do. I'd be interested to see if you did.
That's my favorite.
Can I get through copyright with that?
And August, listen, that's fine if you're not male. I'm sorry if I called you bruh or whatever. My bad. Sister, we love you over here at the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. It's okay to be wrong about something or whatever, whatnot. It's okay. Don't mind me going after your ass a little bit. If you were here on the show, it'd be the same shit. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, we all get along and all that shit. So don't worry, we're good. So you're saying the studio has invested around $1.95 billion the Game of Thrones series. Okay, well, I don't believe that.
It's Dogecoin.
So I'm sorry. I don't need to give you a source. Just go on Wikipedia. The budget's probably right there on Wikipedia, I bet, for Game of Thrones. Dom, Talking TV podcast, sir.
Yes, sir. Talking TV podcast across all platforms: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can see it. It's at Official Talking TV Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, any place where you can see, any place where you guys can follow me. I, as well, like Jermaine, I'm going on a little bit of a podcast hiatus. The only real big movie that I'm really covering for the rest of the month of August is going to be Alien. What's it called? Drew, unless you think that Borderlands is worth reviewing, I wouldn't mind reviewing that with you since you're more of a video game guy than me. But other than that, yeah, I'm gonna be taking a step back and focusing more on some short form content as well that I'm working on for the fall. My Talking TV award ceremony. What's it called? My Project 1999, which I'm working on as well. Also, stay tuned for my Talking Lost recap show, which is going to be the next big recap show that I'm going to be doing for the channel after I recap every episode of Game of Thrones. Yes, that's right. Myself and Luke Reviews are going to be reviewing every single episode of Lost starting on September 1st. So be sure to stay tuned for that. It's going to be a massive 2-year-long undertaking, but we are planning to see that project through until the end. So those are some things to stay tuned for on the Talking TV podcast going forward.
And you'll see Dom back with us on Mondays for the Penguin here. In about a month. So he'll be back for that. All right, guys. Great job, everybody. And ladies, August, I apologize. Let me add you as a part of the team, too. We appreciate you. Thanks, everybody in the comment section. Thanks, everybody on the panel. Thanks to myself, Jeff S. TrueKnowledge, for being so fucking cool as I am. I'm a dope guy. You should get to know me. Me and the pirate lady should hang out, too. You know what I'm saying? So I can fuck her wives and fuck her. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be content with just the wives. I want to fuck the pirate bitch, too. You know what I'm saying? I bet she can fucking Shabadam or Slavadam or whatever. You feel me? She can give you a sloppy one, right down.
I believe the term is the sloppy toppy.
Sloppy toppy, baby.
That's it.
Yep. Little sloppy top for you.
That little sloppy toppy for you.
There you go, baby. A little sloppy toppy. You know, like back in the day, right, baby? All right, let's do it. Okay, USA, folks. We'll see you later. Peace out. God bless you. We love you. We'll see you on Wednesday for DC animated action, and on Friday for the Lord of the Rings, the Return of the King. Peace.
Hot D.
That's right, baby.